Good afternoon, and welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program.
This program is brought to you by the Southwest TV Translator Association and supported by the Dolores County Broadcasting Network on DCTV.
The News at Noon program is the best assembly of news and local weather for the Four Corners region. Give us your feedback and news alerts at 677-4119.
With all that said, I'm Kendra Cook and my co-host is Kelsey Kiesling. And now, for March 15th, 2016, here's the news. The Daily Caller, reporting on the Gold King mine follow-up, wrote that the Obama administration officials called the Gold King mine disaster in Colorado an accident, but an analysis from the Daily Caller News Foundation of government documents and public statements makes clear the disaster was anything but accidental. The Environmental Protection Agency intentionally opened up the abandoned mine, which unleashed 3 million gallons of toxic waste into nearby rivers that residents of Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, and the Navajo Nation depend upon for drinking water. Agency Administrator Gina McCarthy even called the mine spill an unfortunate accident in August 11, 2015, in a speech on the matter, but EPA officials have since been more cautious in describing the event. McCarthy, for example, avoided labeling the spill an accident in her prepared testimony before House lawmakers in September, instead calling the spill an unfortunate incident. EPA's internal report avoided using the term accident and called the mine blowout an incident, and another top agency official testifying before lawmakers in September echoed McCarthy's refrain that the spill was an unfortunate incident. Looking at the potential for calling this an intentional act, new evidence tells a different story. A newly released email between Obama administration officials following the August disaster shows EPA workers intentionally breached Gold King mine. Utah Republican Representative Rob Bishop told Department of the Interior Secretary Sally Jewell during a hearing in early March, quote, "There was nothing unintentional about EPA's actions with regard to breaching the mine. They fully intended to dig out the plug and breach it." Bishop's statement stems from a recently publicized email between Interior Department officials. Brent Lewis, who heads the BLM's abandoned mine program, wrote to colleagues that he had spoken to EPA's project manager and got the following information: that on August 5th, 2015, the EPA was attempting to relieve hydrologic pressure behind a naturally collapsed adit or portal of the Gold King mine. That reads the attachment to Lewis's August 7 email obtained by investigators for the House Committee on Natural Resources. The EPA's plan was to slowly drain and treat enough mine water in order to access the inner mine working and assess options for controlling its discharge. While removing small portions of the natural plug, the material catastrophically gave way and released the mine water. Lewis's email directly contradicts Jewell's testimony that the spill was an accident. Most recently, Jewell maintained the spill was an accident when Bishop confronted him with Lewis's email. Jewell stuck to the story she gave Bishop and his committee when she first called the spill an accident. While the EPA intentionally breached Gold King mine, it's likely they did not believe their actions would set loose 3 million gallons of toxic mine wastewater. Had the agency tested the mine for pressure and not dug directly into its entrance, the blowout might not have occurred. It's also unclear why EPA decided to breach a mine they suspected to be pressurized without the proper equipment. Workers failed to bring a pump and a special drain pipe the day the mine was breached. These major oversights were included in EPA and Interior reports on the incident, but House investigators argue agencies attempted to conceal incompetence and negligence surrounding the spill. The EPA caused mine blowout contaminated rivers with 880,000 pounds of dangerous metals such as lead and arsenic. The agency has claimed the river is safe for humans despite state and local complaints.
According to the Denver Herald, state lawmakers last week took up a second phase of police reform measures after stopping short of addressing larger issues last year. The House Judiciary Committee on Thursday passed 4 bills unanimously as part of the Rebuilding Trust 2.0 package. House Bill 1262 would require background checks when someone applies to be a police officer in an effort to weed out bad apples. The state certifying board would be prohibited from certifying an applicant with a past criminal record. House Bill 1263 would expand the state's prohibition on racial profiling to include national origin, language, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity, and disability. House Bill 1264 would prohibit law enforcement from using the chokehold. House Bill 1265 would require a law enforcement agency to petition to expunge arrest records of people arrested in a case of mistaken identity. House Bill 1117 would require law enforcement to record interrogations in felony investigations. That measure passed the Judiciary Committee last month and is working through the legislature. Tensions appeared to have quelled inside the legislature since the issue hit a boiling point last year. Lawmakers were motivated to take action after high-profile local and national incidents of white police officers being accused of wrongdoings in the deaths of unarmed black men.
Reported in TimesCall.com, according to surveys from the United States Department of Agriculture, organic acreage declined nationally by 10.8% from 2008 to 2014, from 4.1 million acres to 3.7 million. However, Colorado saw larger declines of 34% during that same time, from almost 154,000 acres in 2008 to around 115 in 2014. A number of reasons have been cited by different experts and farmers, including the recession and a change in USDA methodology that counts fewer growers as organic, since many small operations do not pursue certification. The most commonly cited reason is cost. The resource-intense nature of production eats away at profit margins and makes so-called organic less attractive during a time of high conventional profits. The incentive to grow organically wasn't enough, as conventional grown commodities were priced at very profitable levels during that time, said Bill Mayer, director of the USDA's National Agricultural Statistics Service in the Mountain Region. Similar data doesn't exist at the county level, but longtime farmers say organic farming grew during that time in Boulder County. That county has employed a number of tools to help increase organic acreage, including paying for a portion of organic certification costs and investing more than $830,000 in capital expenditures to build ponds, install electricity, and remove prairie dogs. Prospective farmers also get half-off land leases for the first 5 years. In 2015, rent reductions totaled $20,500, and 2 full-time employees manage weeds along the ditch systems that crisscross the county. And interestingly, according to Colorado.gov, Colorado has been identified by some industry groups as an emerging powerhouse in the organic products market. They write that Colorado's farmers, ranchers, and food processors account for an estimated $2.5 billion in organic sales, or approximately 10% of overall U.S. sales of organic products.
According to the Cortez Journal, a new Colorado database tracking kids who have not been vaccinated moved ahead in the state legislature last week. But the measure faces stiff opposition. Republicans gave the bill a lengthy debate, saying a database could open the door to shaming parents who have opted not to vaccinate their children. And a last-minute mix-up means the Democratic House will have to revisit the vaccine matter twice before sending it to the GOP-controlled state. Colorado has some of the nation's loosest rules for avoiding required vaccines. Parents must simply state that they have a medical, moral, or religious objection before which their kids may attend public schools. Federal health authorities said last year that Colorado ranked dead last in school vaccination coverage for measles, mumps, and rubella for the 2013-2014 school year. Just last month, 4 cases of mumps were identified in Denver. Democrats who support a vaccine database in the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment argued Thursday that the database does nothing to tighten vaccine exemptions. But Republicans weren't buying it. They cited an avalanche of opposition from parents fearing Colorado health authorities plan to make it harder to go to school without vaccines. Others question the need for a database. GOP opponents will have more chances to argue against the vaccine database.
Park Service officials announced Mesa Verde's most visited cliff dwelling, Spruce Tree House, would close indefinitely because of falling rock. A portion of Spruce Tree's house was cordoned off in September from self-guided tours after loose rock broke away the month before. Park Service engineers in October decided to close the entire site and are reviewing their options. That process could take up to 2 years as park engineers look for ways to mitigate the eroding natural sandstone arch just above the site that has caused large rock breakaways which pose a danger to visitors. As summer approaches, the closure of Mesa Verde's third largest cliff dwelling has raised questions whether tourist season will be harmed by a loss of visitors who had planned on self-guided tours of Spruce Tree House. So far, most guests have expressed disappointment in being unable to enjoy the full experience. Mesa Verde has about 500,000 visitors annually. Despite Spruce Tree's house closure, this being the National Park Service's centennial year, the number of visitors could reach up to 600,000. The 52,000-plus acre site, which was designated a national park in 1906 and also is a World Heritage Site, is home to some of the best-preserved ancestral Puebloan archaeological sites in the U.S. Officials estimate there are more than 4,300 sites, including 600 cliff dwellings. It also serves as a major economic anchor for the city of Cortez in Montezuma County. Any adverse impact to the park could have a ripple effect on local businesses. The park will open normally closed-off areas for visitors, hold a range of events, and offer ranger-guided tours in and around the park that will make up for Spruce Tree House's closure. And in the meantime, park staff is reviewing whether a previous laser scan of the rock formation will reveal how best to approach remediation. If not, bids for a new scan will go out in the coming months.
According to the Cortez Journal, Housing Solutions for the Southwest has received a $139,000 grant to help homeless families find housing. The grant supports the Southwest Colorado Transitional Housing Program, which assists 10 to 15 families per year, said Program Manager Laura Scholes. The families must have children and must be homeless, she said. They often transition from the Southwest Safe House. The grant was awarded by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, which gave more than $23 million to support 62 local homeless housing and service programs this year across Colorado. The grant aims to end homelessness by providing critically needed houses and support services to individuals and families experiencing homelessness. A safe, stable house is the foundation for opportunity in all of our lives, HUD Secretary Julian Castro said Tuesday in a news release. That's why we're continuing to challenge communities to deploy proven strategies to help people experiencing homelessness find a place to call home. Housing Solutions isn't guaranteed to receive the grant, Scholes said, but the outcome-based program has proven successful at putting homeless families on the path to independent home living. The program has won a grant for 15 years in a row. Participants work with a case manager for 2 years and must meet a series of goals. They pay 30% of their income towards housing costs, and the grant subsidizes the rest. The grant also helps pay for supportive services such as car repairs. Housing Solutions operates multiple housing-related programs to help people who are struggling to meet their basic housing needs in Archuleta, Dolores, La Plata, Montezuma, and San Juan counties. And now, here's our weather report.
The regional weather tells our tale of it remaining mostly clear or partly cloudy as the threat of storms and rain or snow remain to our north. This map shows distinctly that the large low-pressure storm system that has moved in through the Midwest, hopefully not to interfere too much with all of the polling locations for today's big Super Duper Tuesday Republican and Democratic presidential candidate nomination race. On to the national forecast, which shows potential heavy snows up in western Wyoming and Idaho. With the low pressure dipping into much of Colorado, we look to be on the edge or just south of any notable precipitation. That big H, indicating a high pressure to the southwest, is sitting pretty to keep warm and dry weather in our outlook ahead. This while the rest of the country to the east is still experiencing the storms and flooding, especially in the Midwest area today. And once again, our outlook for the 5-day forecast continues with high temperatures in the 50s and the lows back down to the 20s to finish out the week. For today at DCTV, we haven't reached the 50-degree mark just yet, and today's normal is for 54 with a record high in 2013 of 72, and last year's today we hit 69. The record low was back in 1956 with just 7 degrees, and our normal indicates 27, so suffice it to say, spring is in the four corners and it's usually tumultuous. Thankfully today we are looking at calmer winds with gusts only into the teens. And now back to Kelsey with more news.
According to the Cortez Journal, students from Montezuma Cortez High School's journalism and yearbook programs took home 6 awards at Colorado Mesa University's 26th Annual Media Days competition, March 7th. The awards came in the small schools category, in which about 8 other schools were competing, said MCHS Journalism advisor Deborah McVicker. Senior Daniel Wagner took first place for news writing, and freshman Luis Gonzalez took second place for sports news or feature story. The Panther press staff, including senior Julia Demore-Rome, Bridget Dameron, and Garrett Dameron, took first and second place for newspaper page design. The students also attended some conferences and workshop sessions at the event, led by Colorado Mesa University faculty members. Gonzalez said he attended a feature writing workshop where he learned some tips for making his writing stronger. Demore-Rome and Bridget Dameron said they attended a 2-hour news design workshop led by a CMU web design instructor. They were given tips on news design do's and don'ts and participated in a hands-on design activity, Demore-Rome said. Wagner said he attended several roundtable discussions on news editing. The Panther Press staff submitted its first 2 issues for consideration at the competition. One issue included a spread about student government at the high school, and another issue featured the MCHS band program. 2 MCHS yearbook students from the 2014-15 staff also won awards at the competition. MCHS alumna Elaine Le won first place for Best Yearbook Copy for a Story she wrote on the 2015 prom. The yearbook staff, led by editor Gabby Begay, won second place for Best All-Round Yearbook.
According to the Durango Herald, the Bureau of Land Management on Monday granted a 2-week extension for public comment on a contentious proposal to sell 6,137 acres in the HD Mountains southeast of Bayfield in an oil and gas lease sale. The deferral comes at the behest of elected officials in La Plata and Archuleta counties, as well as the environmental group San Juan Citizens Alliance, which sent letters to the BLM demanding more time to review the impacts new wells would have on the wilderness area. The period for public comment and protest was set to expire at 4 p.m. Monday, with the sale slated for May 12th in Lakewood. Now, comments can be submitted until March 29th, with the sale date unchanged. In the letters sent, the BLM and the Forest Service were criticized for rushing the leasing process, not holding a public meeting on the sale, and failing to notify adjacent property owners. An opponent expressed that more than 6,000 of these acres proposed for leasing are situated in the HD Mountains, a unique low-elevation range which is home to an array of Puebloan and other Native American cultural sites, critical year-round and winter habitat for big game and other species. Forest Service officials said in an email that although the agency did not hold a public hearing for the sale, if the leases are purchased and an operator submits a project proposal, a project-specific NEPA analysis and public comment period would then occur.
According to the Cortez Journal, a Dolores High School graduate has reinvented how to market the elk hunter's favorite perfume. It's well known around these parts that a good dousing of elk urine masks the human scent while hunting, and the aroma can even attract bulls in heat. But Emily Harris, a 2013 Dolores graduate and design major at Colorado Mesa University, never liked the shelf appeal of the products on the market. Her product design and packaging, Cloak Human Scent Cover, recently won second place in the Young Designers competition, which features 135 entries from 14 schools nationwide. Her upscale design uses a bottle capped with an antler lid tucked into a stylish wooden box with a hinged top. The Cloak label features a simple yet creative elk and pine tree graphic with a mountain outline. She was awarded $2,500 and a trip to Los Angeles for tours of the cosmetic industry. Her award-winning design for a hunting perfume raised some eyebrows at the trendy urban setting of LA. Harris credits art courses in Dolores schools for giving her a head start in graphic design.
According to the Denver Business Journal, the Colorado Department of Labor and Employment reported Monday that Colorado added 5,200 payroll jobs in January from the previous month, and the state's unemployment rate dropped to 3.2%, its lowest level since 2001. Unemployment in Colorado decreased by 0.3 percentage point from December's level and was down 0.9 of a point from a year earlier. It was a further sign that declines in the state's energy sector have not yet caused an overall decrease in employment. Colorado's unemployment rate has not been this low since it stood at 3.1% in April of '01. According to a survey of Colorado's employers, private sector non-farm payroll jobs in the state rose by 4,300 in January, while government employment was up by 900. That brought the state's total for payroll jobs to over 2.5 million. The month's biggest gains in private sector jobs were in professional and business services, leisure hospitality, and manufacturing. The largest over-the-month private sector job declines were in education and health services and construction. A separate survey of Colorado households, the one used to determine the unemployment rate, does include self-employed people and farm workers and counts people who hold multiple jobs only once. According to the household survey, the number of Coloradans counting themselves as employed rose by 19,400 in January from the previous month, and the number of people actively participating in the labor force, meaning those who are working plus those who are seeking work, rose by 11,500. The number of unemployed fell by 7,900 in January.
And now for this week's Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup. A resident is missing a male white lab with a green collar. Please call the sheriff's office if you find a dog that matches this description. A deputy is investigating possible drug paraphernalia turned in to the sheriff's office by a resident. A deputy responded to a report of serious verbal threats by a resident. A deputy investigated a suspicious vehicle reported near the irrigation pumps. A deputy assisted motorists attempting to tow a vehicle on Highway 491. A caller reported a deer which had been hit by a vehicle by the airport. That's all for today's Sheriff's Roundup. I will have more reports as the week progresses, so stay tuned.
And in today's High Country happenings, don't forget the 9 Health Fair is coming to Dove Creek High School April 2nd. Screenings and testing will be available. Transportation for seniors will be available through the Senior Center. Veterans may contact Rick Brown at 970-677-3200. Seniors can call 562-4626, or for more details, contact Todd Parisi, 739-5654, or go online to 9healthfair.org. Friday, March 18th, the Soil and Crop Management for Sustainable Farming in the Four Corners workshop will be held from 9:45 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Ag Expo Summit Room. Presentations include dryland soil moisture management and cover crops research. For all of the Ag Expo events, go online to 4statesagexpo.com. And though St. Patrick's Day is Thursday the 17th, this Friday, March 18th, the State Line Bar and Grill on the Colorado-Utah border will have the band Little Brother with Kevin Frazier entertaining, green beer, drink specials, and a free shuttle. You can call them for more info at 677-2649 or visit their Facebook page. We'd love to share more information about what's happening to support all of the regional groups, individuals, and communities. So please let us know your event by sending an email to dcbnnews@gmail.com or call 677-4119. And we're adding all of the High Country happenings onto our Facebook page.
Again, thanks for tuning in. This program is aired live at noon and rebroadcasted at 2:30 and 8 p.m. on Channel 32.1 Dolores County, on Channel 32.4 in Montezuma County, and their cable Channel 5.
You can also rewatch the broadcast on YouTube at the DCTV News at Noon channel. And please like us on DCTV News at Noon Facebook page and follow us on Twitter.
For Kendra Cook and all those who are working to bring you DCTV and the News at Noon program from Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. See you next time.